announcement there.
You're listening to Head South Radio with your host, Cat Meyer, a podcast dedicated to prioritizing pleasure and removing the stigma and shame around sex. We're here to be curious and have an open conversation about sexual health and relational wellness. This podcast is intended for educational and entertainment purposes. The information discussed is not a substitute for professional medical advice.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's John. I'm Kat's boyfriend. I'm many other things, but for all intents and purposes of this podcast, I am Kat's boyfriend.
Are you excited to play this game?
I'm looking forward to it, yeah.
Because I know you get really excited.
I don't tend to get excited. We had this conversation yesterday. I tend to just be like, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I tend to play it cool, like the fonts.
Yeah.
How was that introduction?
You ready to play?
Yeah, I mean, how do I ask you questions, though?
You don't. I'm just going to ask you the questions.
Oh, okay.
But I'll say the question out loud. I know I should have left half the deck. So just to preface, we are in a long distance relationship. We're not on the same coast, or we're on opposite coasts, essentially. And so John doesn't have the questions. So
well, I think what you should
ask
do is
the
that you should randomly take some photos of a couple of cards and text them to me.
Okay.
And then it's just not me getting grilled.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll also answer some of those questions as well.
Yeah, but I want to pick some questions. You get to pick questions, so I want to pick questions too.
Okay.
Well, we established that this game isn't really a game because no one wins anything. There's no prize. There's no winner. Or everyone's a winner.
We both
you get
win.
to have conversations.
There is a winner. We both win.
We all win.
Everyone's
a winner.
Yeah.
Everyone gets a medal.
Yeah, exactly,
okay.
John. Yeah, I know. You were very concerned about who wins at this game. Okay, I think I'm ready. I'm really impressed that you agreed to do this.
Yeah, you caught me at a moment of willingness.
Yeah, at the tail end of your birthday. Could have slipped it in there right before I left.
Right. Yeah, I was like, oh, by the way. But yeah, I'm happy to play this game with you. I had fun playing it with you last time, except for some of the questions involved a bigger conversation, so it stops being like a game.
Mm-hmm. Okay, when do you feel the sexiest?
When do I feel the sexiest? Like maybe when I'm most like in my body, feeling good about my body and myself, and that is quite often can be like after a run, like when I'm feeling strong and embodied and. Or after like a particularly good yoga session or something like that. I don't know if it's kind of sexy, I guess. I just feel like I feel good. I feel attractive and strong and sexy. I also have a kimono and I feel very sexy in that kimono. So when I wear my kimono in the mornings and after some kind of like physical activity, when I'm in my body and my body feels really good. Which isn't all the time. Sometimes my body feels like shit and not sexy. But yeah, those 2 moments, I guess, I feel pretty sexy.
Okay. Do you want me to answer it?
Oh, yeah.
Should we do that? Should I answer the same
yes.
question?
When do you feel? Should I ask you? Should I say, what about you? When do you feel sexiest?
I feel sexiest, when I feel good in my body, like after exercising or moving my body. I feel really sexy after dance classes and after yoga. I feel sexy after running sometimes. Sometimes I don't feel sexy after running and I feel really annoyed.
Yeah, that's part of it. That doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away. I feel very sexy on the beach. I feel sexy when I'm relaxed on the beach.
I feel sexy when I'm walking out of the water on the beach.
Yeah.
That's a sexy moment.
I would say that's one of your sexiest moments. It's one of the things I enjoy.
Coming out of the water, you're all wet. You probably I look pretty tanned. I don't look bad, I guess.
Yeah. It's very James Bond-ish coming out of the water.
James Bond. Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, the beach is a sexy place. The beach is sexy.
Yep. What are my best qualities?
I mean, you know that I don't play favorites, and I don't have like I don't have my favorite book, and you have a lot of incredible, wonderful qualities. You inspire me. You work extremely hard, and you have a lot of self-belief in what you do and the person that you want to become and the person that you are. And that inspires me greatly. I think that's a really incredible quality. It's something that I've certainly lacked in my life. You're incredibly kind and generous with your heart, I would say, with your time, with what you offer to people, and creating space and places that are safe for people. Myself, your friends, like anyone that needs that kind of space to just be themselves, to be in pain, to be sad, to be happy, whatever. You are really good at providing that, and that's a really beautiful quality. You're funny. You're good at jokes. I mean, those are a couple of my big hits. You're very passionate in life, in bed, in the things that you do. You're very knowledgeable. Yeah, you're teeming with excellent qualities. And those are a few that come to mind. What are my best qualities?
Thanks, baby. Your best qualities are, I would say, you're funny, your humor. You make me laugh like nobody else. Like, it's incredible how funny you are without even trying. One of the qualities that I admire about you is your ability to just be present with people and your wisdom. I think you're one of the wisest people I've ever met. I think you're one of the most considerate people. Like, I've never had someone who is so considerate of me and my experience, the way that you are, and the way that you think through things of how I'm feeling and what I need. And you anticipate those needs in a very thoughtful way. And when it comes to your wisdom, it's the wisdom of living a very full and probably, to some people's definition, crazy life, and your ability to also hold space for people who are having a hard time, who are struggling. And I think you allow people to disarm and be vulnerable, and then offer them guidance in a way that feels safe and feels like it's from your own experiences. Like, your wisdom comes from the life you've lived. And so I think that's some of your best qualities. Are you shy?
Well, I'm not the best at taking compliments. So, yes, thank you. That's lovely to hear.
What's one thing I've done recently that impressed you?
I mean, you managed to surprise me on my birthday, and I haven't really been surprised very many times in my life. That was impressive. You single-handedly launched a company. That was pretty cool. I mean, maybe it's not recent, but and I've said this to you before, and it's something that kind of pops up every now and then, but I'm always impressed at how, like, quickly you go from being very scared to just, like, doing it. And that could be, something to do with your business, but I think the first time I noticed it, obviously, was when we went rock climbing together, and you probably got like 2 feet off the ground, and you were like terrified. You were like, I'm really scared. I can't do it. I'm going to fall. You were like kind of frozen. And I was like, you're fine. Like, you're going to be okay. Just put one hand up. And then all of a sudden you were just fucking flying up the wall. So that ability to kind of like be not just like fearful, a little bit fearful, but like to be honestly very scared of something, and then face it and go through it and come out on the other side in a matter of minutes. That's very impressive. That's like a superpower.
What's one thing you've done
Hang on, you
recently
didn't
that
answer that
I've
question.
been impressed by? And my answer would be, I am answering it. That's the same question. I just rephrased it, babe.
Okay.
No, what's one thing you've done recently that's impressed me? And so to answer that question, I would say that exactly, like in response to what you just said of how you've had fear of things and you sit on it for years, witnessing you create art and share art and get back into photography in a way that is not only just for yourself on your phone, but getting a camera and then also creating zines has really impressed me to see you work through some of your fear and put your creativity and your talents out in the world in a way that I know like has been at times difficult for you. And that's recently been really impressive to see you do that.
I have the questions come through.
Okay, yay. Go ahead, you ask.
Alrighty. What is your guilty pleasure?
Bridgerton.
You don't seem that guilty about that though. Like a guilty pleasure is something really you do by yourself and don't try and convince other people to do, or a guilty pleasure is much more private. I don't know if I can accept Bridgerton as the answer. Please try again.
What is my guilty? I mean, that is my guilty pleasure. I know I've been trying to convince you to watch it with me, or watch it near me. But I don't know if I have any other guilty pleasures.
Like guilty pleasures.
I mean, I have some guilty pleasures.
Like
I think
by yourself, right? Is that a guilty pleasure? Because you don't want anyone else to know. My guilty pleasure is, I would say, singing along really loudly to like the Red Hot Chili Peppers in the car. Dancing by myself to techno.
But
dancing
why
by
would you
myself
want to
to
do that
techno like I'm still a raver in the 90s. That's also a guilty pleasure. I guess Bridgerton is a guilty pleasure. You can have it. I don't know why I'm being so harsh about this game that no one wins. I'm trying to make up rules.
Well, I would say that nobody would. Well, I would say, I like hearing your guilty pleasures. Yeah, I think singing pop music, like 90s, early aughts pop music, and singing Celine Dion, even if I'm doing it with my friends, those are guilty pleasures. I do makeup dance routines when I'm alone. Like when you're not here with me and I have the apartment to myself, I like to make up dance routines.
I love that.
So I would say that's a guilty pleasure.
I like that dancing is both of ours in one form or another. All right, next question. How much and what kind of lighting do you prefer during sex?
I prefer not a lot of lighting, but my favorite lighting, this is what I'll say because I love favorites. My favorite lighting is in the morning, like when the sun rises.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice light. I agree with that. Morning is nice. Strobe lights. That's all.
Black light.
Strobe lights in industrial music. On average, how often would you like to have partnered sex?
How often would I like to have partnered sex? I would say on average 5 out of 7 days.
5 out of 7 days. So it's basically like training for a marathon.
John, what's your answer?
I mean, I guess. Yeah. Can I say 3 to 5?
Yeah, you can give a window.
Yeah, some weeks I'm just tired. You know, I get tired.
I know you get tired.
3 to 5 is nice.
Yeah, I would say 3 to 5 out of the 7 days of the week. Feels like that's kind of what we've been averaging.
Okay.
Keeping score, which I am.
Yeah, apparently.
I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. All right, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay. The game could also go on forever as well. It goes on longer than Monopoly. And Monopoly is the longest game in the world.
This game can go on for a long time, truly. What's great about it is that you can play it at different stages of your relationship. So we're almost 2 years into our relationship, and we could have easily played this early on. But I'm just talking about couples in general. Like, you don't have to be like brand new, or you can be together 20 years, 50 years, whatever. And the game is relevant. So it does go on. It can go on for a long time because you can play it at different stages of your relationship.
Do you think that it's like if a couple was like breaking up, or if post breakup, just to get a few truths out there on the way out the door?
The exit interview?
Kinda like this game as an exit interview. Like let's just play this game and be really honest. Whatever. Like
it would be very different. It could be interesting. It's kind of fucked up, but Yeah. Okay, ready for the next question?
Yes.
Does sexting or receiving nudes turn you on?
It does. Yeah. I mean, you're the first person that I'd ever done that with, so, and it turned me on. Yeah, you're the first person who'd ever thought to send me a nude, which seems rude of everyone else. Yeah.
Yeah, it turns me on. You were only the second person I've ever exchanged nudes with.
Mm.
And it definitely turns me on. I mean, it's a part of our sex life, especially while we're long distance. What do you like most about our relationship?
I mean, I think a big part of our relationship and the success of our relationship, it's something that's very important to me, is this sort of the way that we are allowing each other to have our own, like we live on opposite sides of the country because I'm farming, and the fact that, you give me the space and the freedom to explore some of these like ideas that I've had over the last couple of years and things that I want to do, and you encourage me, and I think that's reciprocal. I think I encourage you. We give each other this like really amazing freedom to be ourselves and explore our own interests. I think that's kind of incredible.
I would agree. I think the thing I like most about our relationship is our ability to communicate our feelings and our needs and what we want as individuals and feel safe doing that. I mean, some of these conversations have been hard to bring up, like when I decided to move to LA and feeling the support and not feeling like we have to compromise or choose something to kind of keep the relationship going, but we can actually choose ourselves and share that with one another and not feel like I didn't feel like you were going to take it personal, or, I don't take it personal that you're choosing a career path that you've been wanting for so long, for some time. And knowing, I think it's that ability that we've created, or the container that we've created, that allows us to feel safe to make those decisions and feel safe to express those. And even if one of us doesn't agree or doesn't feel good about it, that's also allowed. Like, it's also been available to express our feelings, express our desires, and work through it together. And knowing that, like, everything we're doing, even as individuals, autonomously, separately, it will benefit us as a couple. And I feel like that's been a very, very clear kind of mantra, or like way in which we view the relationship, is like holding true to that idea that like the choices we make as individuals will, even if it means like separating for some time or doing things unconventionally or exploring things that we never have tried before, separate and together, it's always under the container of feeling validated and safe to express it, to talk about it. And maybe we make the decision to do it, or maybe we don't, but it's never been a fear of how the other is going to react. And it's the thing I like most about our relationship. What did you like most about me when we first met?
I mean, I like that you were hot, and I also liked that I could just really like talk to you straight away. I mean, we first met not in person. There were a number of phone conversations and things like that sort of happened before our first date. Yeah, I just felt instantly. I mean, one of the first things you told me is like, this is a safe space, and it's felt that way from the get go. So yeah, just that like ability to communicate in a way that I hadn't in a long time, straight off the bat before we even met, because that's when we first met. Okay, so we first met a long time ago. We first started talking to each other. It wasn't in person. I just love those conversations. It's ease and honesty.
Ease, honesty, and I was hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the abridged
my
version.
answer. What did I like most about you when we first met? You were hot, and
Good answer.
But I'll speak to when we actually first met. And one of my favorite things about our first date, which was a really long first date, that was supposed to be just coffee, and then it turned into a lot of activities over the course of 8 hours. But one of the things that we had done was ride bikes from my neighborhood in Brooklyn up to Greenpoint. And one of the things I liked about you is that you rode your bike in front of me, and anytime you passed through an intersection, you'd turn around to check on me and make sure that I was like behind you. You kept checking on me and looking back. And you still do that every time we go on bike rides. You always look back and check that I'm there. And it like physically felt safe. And so that was one of the things I liked about you when we first met, was that I physically felt safe with you.
Just making sure you're not running off on. Maybe that just comes from like a deep insecurity. Just like, she's gonna leave me on the next corner. I know it. No,
cruise off in the other direction.
I keep an eye on people when I'm biking.
No, it's a thing that you do. I've never told you that before, but it's something I've noticed every time we go for bike rides. You always like turn around and check on me if I'm behind you. You usually, if we're going into certain kinds of traffic, you do make me ride in front of you, even though I don't like leading. There's been times like that, like on Shelter Island, where you're like, you have to go in front because the cars will come around and you'd rather get hit than me get hit from behind. That was one of the things I liked about you when we first met, was how safe you made me feel physically.
Just mad chivalrous, I guess is what you would say.
It's true. I know you're joking, but it's true.
Yeah, no. That's how I take compliments, by turning it into a joke.
What's something about me that has surprised you the most?
I would say like your willingness to jump in. It sort of goes hand in hand with the work through fear thing quickly, but you're pretty quick to just sort of say yes to stuff, which maybe a lot of people might not. Like, I mean, we've been dating for 2 weeks, and I asked if you wanted to go to Australia, and you were like, yeah. But you're just like willing to do shit and be in places that are not necessarily all that comfortable, and your willingness to just like give it a go. It's not always the case, you know?
Yeah, it was after our third date, which was, our date, because like our early romantic situation, I guess you could say, like it was pretty like intense because we were long distance then. And so like our first date, like I mentioned, went from meeting up for coffee to turning into an 8-hour day where we did like a ton of things, activities, and
we had like
bike rides and going to the beach and getting pizza and we had 7 dates in our first date.
Yeah.
And then our second date was me coming to visit you on Shelter Island, which was 3 days.
Yeah.
Like that was our second date. And then our third date was you coming into the city and spending like 2 days in the city with me. And so it was a lot of time together.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, when we say like it was a few weeks, but it was like we spent a lot of time together in those early dating days. And yeah, you had asked me, I remember we were on the phone and you were like, this might be weird, but I'm going to Australia in January. And this was like September, October. And you asked me to go with you. And I was like, yeah. Like I was planning on going on a trip and like traveling in January or February anyways. So I was thinking of a few different places. And so it kind of just made sense to me to do that. And it's one of the greatest trips and experiences I've ever had.
I'm going to answer that question for you
now.
The thing about me that most surprised you was the fact that I had an Australian accent. You didn't know I was Australian.
Yeah, I didn't know you were Australian. So we met, you came to my yoga class, and then we were aware of each other through social media for 4 years. And I didn't know you were Australian. You never spoke to me for the 4 years from initially meeting until you sent me a voice note on my birthday. And I was like, holy shit, this dude's Australian. So for 4 years, I thought your name was Jonas.
Wow.
And I thought you were from New Jersey.
Okay.
It's not weird.
I don't think I knew about the Jonas part. I don't even know where that comes from. But.
You didn't know about that? I will tell you where it came from. It came from your former Instagram handle was John is Freeman. And no, like, I didn't know who you, like, I just read it as Jonas Freeman.
No way. It's John is free, man. John
So
is
for 4
free.
years, yeah, I didn't read it that way. I read it as Jonas Freeman
Damn, I wonder how many other people did that.
from New Jersey.
Yeah, that's weird. Okay.
That's what I thought. That's who I thought you were.
Okay.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're absolutely correct. The thing that surprised me most was the fact that you were Australian after 4 years of thinking you were not Australian.
Yeah, that's funny.
Do you want to ask a question,
Yeah,
Jonas?
I may be getting sleepy. Tell me something that I've introduced you to that you now enjoy.
Rock climbing. What's your answer?
You introduced me to phone sex. I enjoy that.
Phone sex. What's your answer?
Is that an okay answer?
Yeah, that's a great answer, babe. Do you prefer it if I grab you more softly or firmly in bed?
I'm a Gemini. I like it both. I like both. I don't want to be like thrown around, but
I would say the same. Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I would say. I like both. I like when you're more gentle, and sometimes I like when you throw me around. Yeah, I like when I touch you gently, and I also, or like softly, and I also like digging my nails into you. When did you know you were into me? Describe that moment in detail.
Detail. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, don't know. I mean, it was probably like one of the phone conversations. Describe that moment in detail. Maybe it was when we were like making out on the floor of the Shelter Island place. But then maybe it was also just eating pizza and me being like, look at how much she loves pizza too. And I don't know if I need to describe that in detail. I think everyone understands what making out with someone on the floor is like, and they also understand what eating pizza is like. So I don't really know how much detail I need to go into. But those were a couple of moments. Holy shit, this person likes pizza as much as me, and she also likes making out on the floor. That's my answer. I don't have details. I'm getting a little fun.
When did I know that I was into you? I was just talking about this moment to somebody, to a friend. So one of the things that happened on our first date was that you drove in a few hours from Long Island into the city and you were tired. So after we had a picnic, I think we went for coffee, we had a picnic, and then I had a surprise element to the first date, which was a book tour, like going to different bookstores. And it was the hottest day of the year. It was 8/8, August 8th, and it was so hot. And after the picnic, but before the bike ride bookstore tour, I could tell you were really tired. So I said, we can go back to my apartment and you could take a nap. And then we went back to my apartment and you took a nap, but then I did Reiki with you. And then you fell asleep. And then after you woke up and I was sitting near you and you were laying on the bed and you started to trace my hand, like you were like running your fingers along my hand and up my arm. And then you started to sing like a nursery rhyme that your mom used to sing to you. So you did that. And you told me that. But I was just talking to somebody about that moment. And
do you remember the nursery rhyme?
I knew I was into you. I don't. I remember you were singing it and like running your fingers on my hands. And then you like did this, like you used your fingers to like crawl up my arm. Do you remember the nursery rhyme?
The nursery rhyme is, for everyone out there, and maybe this was just an English-Scottish thing, which is where I was a child. Maybe this is where the game ends. It's me doing a nursery rhyme.
Yeah.
The nursery rhyme is, this is what my mum used to do. She would take my hand and she would run her finger around my hand and she would go round and round the garden like a teddy bear. 1 step, 2 step, tickly under there. And I would laugh hysterically and she'd do it again.
Yeah.
And on that note, I'm the winner of the game.
But yeah, that's when I knew I was into you in those moments.
That's a nicer
On our
answer
first
than
date.
my answer.
Oh, babe.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I think that should close out the game.
Okay.
Thank you, baby. Did you enjoy playing that game?
I did. I do enjoy playing that game.
Yeah. You were a little apprehensive at first, even to play it, let alone to do it for a podcast episode.
I mean, I'm apprehensive about being asked questions in general. So it stands to reason that a game that isn't made entirely of questions would cause some apprehension and anxiety in me. But usually, I answer the question. Sometimes, like you will say, "Hey, babe, can I ask you a question?" And my throat will close up. And then I'm like, "Yeah, okay, yes, please do."
Uh-huh.
But the initial reaction is just like, "Ah," and then I move on.
Yeah.
Like you climbing the wall after pausing at 2 feet high. And that's how it works. We get up the wall, babe. We get up the wall.
We just climb, just ascend.
We get a little bit scared and we're worried that we're going to fall and hurt ourselves. But then we help each other up the wall.
It's true. Rock climbing is a good analogy and metaphor for relationship, especially the kind of rock climbing that we did in Australia where someone's doing the belay.
Yeah. Yeah. You're trusting your life with someone else's hands.
Yeah. And that's dating and relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, baby. Enjoy your ice cream. I love you.
I love you, babe. Bye.
Thank you for doing this. Bye. Special thanks to all of our guests. Head South is hosted by Cat Meyer, produced by Isis Barlow, edited by Megan Hook, with music by Lily Rezi Rothman, graphics by Ella Chodos Irvine, cover art by Gina Ship Casey, and intro by Murph Meyer.
If you're looking for me, I'm heading south. All year round, I'm going down. Now you know where I'll be.